We don't have. I mean, I don't want anybody ever to do their acting here. Although, like, we'll get some comedians sometimes that we'll talk about something and make them think of something that they've done, and they'll come out and it's funny. But no, I don't ever want that. Like with nightmares for comedians, they come in, they tell us, we got Bob and Tom, and we're gonna write out all these jokes, and starter questions. And I'm like, then don't do radio.
I know. I did one not too long ago where the producers came out and they were like, "What do you want, like, as the lead-ins?" And I was like, "I don't know, whatever you want." And they were like, "No, like, you got to tell us." And I was like, "I'm serious, like, just ask me anything." And they're like, "You have to have the lead-in, like, for him to ask you so that you can do your thing." And I was like, I don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
So, dude, I'm in the green room and they're having a break. They send in a second producer who's like, "If you could just give us like just 2 or 3, things." I was like what? Yeah. And he goes, so like what's going on in your home life? Like, I'm like, my wife, we had a baby. He's like, "That would be great." So if he goes into that, I'm like, "Yeah, you can say that," but I mean, I don't have a set answer
for it, yeah.
And then they're like, "God, all right." And so there's like another break. They bring the host in. They're like, "He never comes in." And he's like, "Hey man, so
why are you being difficult?"
Yeah, he's like, "Is everything like cool?" I was like, "Dude, everything is fine.
Yeah,
like you can ask me anything." I mean, and he then starts doing a pre-interview himself with me.
Right.
And he's like, "So that's a good thing." And he like looked at the guy. He's like, "He could do it."
Oh, my God.
And I was like, "All right, man."
I would rather have you come in here and be awful and then either say to you, "You're awful," or when you leave,
"You're
awful.
awful.
Than I would for... Yeah, I mean, there's guys like Nate wasn't bad. He just wasn't, like, great.
Yeah.
And there's...
But he's a hilarious dude. He's just not
like I wouldn't say don't go see him.
Of course.
Sometimes like I said about April, I don't know if she's funny
Nate's
at all.
But Nate's personality is like he is a reserved, chill dude.
Oh, like,
but
what's
I think
his name?
I think the thing with Nate is I think he's so funny doing stand up and stuff that like you said, he wasn't terrible or anything. It just was mismatched. And I was like, I wanted him to, because I want people to go and see how funny he is.
I got you.
Yeah.
Like we hate Gary Valentine.
Really?
Yeah.
And Adam Ferrara.
That's Kevin James' brother.
Oh,
yeah.
And Adam too?
Yeah.
What, were they terrible?
We gave Adam a second chance. He was worse the second time.
Wait, in that, was he like trying to sabotage, or you mean just like didn't care?
He didn't care and thought he was a superstar.
Famous.
Yeah.
I think he thinks he's Tony Danza. Like he literally came in and was like this, was like, and it's like, okay,
yeah,
I guess we'll just ask you questions and you can say things, and then
it was. I mean, I don't know. It was weird. I just don't think he's funny. Ralphie, we were a great friend of Ralphie. Ralphie was fun sometimes, but he wasn't very good radio. He was disruptive, and we know who is good and who's not. I love that everybody hates Carlos Mencia.
Yeah,
Carlos will do and talk about anything on the radio. We had Carlos talking about almost killing himself over the Rogan stuff.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. Like we've had him. He brings it up.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's the most honest guy, and then I believe Carlos is married and has kids and all that stuff, but then talks about banging girls for hours. Like he'll talk about anything. We love it, and I don't care what anybody says.
Like, this is good radio.
Yeah. And then
I get that.
So when Bert and Jay got into some heat, I immediately turned on Jay and was like, because my Bert is my guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when Jay, I trashed Jay pretty hardcore on the air, and it wasn't just because of that. Like he was a dick to. He said something to Ralphie that pissed me off one day, and I destroyed him. And his agent called me out. Hey, buddy, and I'm like, "Oh, not happening, Frosty." And then Jay's like, "What's the problem?" I go, "Call the show and we'll talk about it." And it was an hour of me just telling him what a horrible human being he was, and he took every ounce of it, agreed with it, and apologized. And then the next day sent me a dozen roses. And I went, all right. Then years later, he's coming in through town, and I'm like, I actually called Bert and I go, my dedication is to you. I won't have him on if you're like, I hate him. And Bert's like, no, I don't care at all. I'm like, okay. So I had him on the show, and we talked to him, and he was like Mencia. So he's like, I'm so mentally beaten down that I've ruined relationships over it. He brought you up. He's like, I don't talk to Tom. I don't talk to Bert. He goes, I wish I had the opportunity to apologize to them and tell, and you don't get that kind of honesty from somebody. And I said, Jay, You're famous. You've been on TV. You've been in movies. You're in goddamn Jerry Maguire. Now you're single. Let's do this. Let's get back out on the road." And he goes, "I can't. I'm so mentally messed up that I have erectile dysfunction." And I'm like, "You don't. That's the honesty you don't get from guests."
Yeah, so. that level of honesty is also awesome on radio, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, having that. And he was, by the way, always, let's say, prior to feeling beaten down and all that, great radio guy.
Yeah.
I guess when he would guest.
His impressions and all that.
Yeah. He would, there's different approaches, I think, as when you study guests in radio. And he was like, I remember watching and seeing how different people do it. Like, Jay would, had the take over the room thing where he would go in and be like,
which doesn't always work.
But if you can pull it off, it's like a magic trick almost, Right. And then like Fitzsimmons, I don't know if you
we love Fitzsimmons.
Very funny guy. He'll do the thing where like you think you're interviewing and all of a sudden you're like, damn, he's interviewing me right now.
He is.
He's good at that. And he does it slick too.
He asked me a question one time and I answered it and I go, "I can't believe I just answered that." And he goes, "Last time I was here, you said the same thing." I go, "You got me twice." He's talking about my wife. Yeah. Asked me, I was like, "How did that just happen?"
Turns it around.
Yeah,
on you.
He's good.
It's like a skill set.
Yeah.
And both guys who wound up doing radio.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, look, I gotta tell you, I'm so glad you came in here today.
Yeah, me too, man.
I'm glad that I feel like you're leaving and you were not like, why did I get up to do?
No, this was great. I had a great time. Thank you very much.
And hopefully we have a good relationship now.
Yeah, dude. Let's do it again.
I have to tell you, if you and Bert, I mean, I'm sure you've talked about this 1,000 times, but will eventually you guys go do a tour together?
I hope we talked about it, and it's hard to put those things together sometimes.
Right.
But we got to at least go do a show together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at least a one-off. And
something, or at least like 3 and like big
maybe
cities that are good for you guys, like one in LA, one in Philly.
Well, we both have like crazy tour schedules for the rest of the year.
I'm gonna produce that.
Then that's fine. Producing's good, but maybe like a 2020 run like that, like do a weekend and. But we'll have to go. I don't know, man. We're going to have to work out this bus thing,
Yeah, I know.
Who's going to get the big bed and all that?
Well, just go do like Motley Crue and take your own buses.
Oh, yeah.
2 tour buses. The two
Mine will be the
tour.
one you sleep on. His will be the one you lose your life on. It'll be the balance. Like, you want to sleep today? Go on Tom's bus.
You have an 8-month-old and you get to leave on Wednesdays?
Yeah.
How great is that life?
I know. It's pretty.
I mean, when my son was born and I was doing mornings, I would come to work, and at 10:01, my wife would be like, "What time are you going to be home?" And I'm like, let me breathe a little bit.
And then you had to be allowed, I'm assuming, to sleep, right? Like when you... Like, what about in the middle? Like, it's midnight, which for you... No?
No, in the middle of the night, we were up together.
What?
Yeah.
And you're going to do mornings?
It was rough. It was definitely rough.
Yeah, he wasn't the happiest guy sometimes. No. And a lot of times he would miss the first break. The first break would be best of.
Yeah, well, like 6:15.
Yeah.
Then second kid, we didn't have our second kid till 6 years later. And I'm like, I have to be honest with you. I love this kid. My son and I are so tight.
Yeah.
I could never love another kid. And I ain't going through that crap anymore. But I was also doing afternoons at the time.
Yeah.
And I said, and I was just starting to become rich. So I was like, I will have this kid if we can have a nanny and all that other stuff. I don't want to change diapers. I don't want to do anything. And she was like, all right, we can do that. And I'm like, okay. So the next one was simple. And I was doing afternoons. So
we do it's a huge help.
I have a nanny and a cleaning lady, and it's still stressful.
I know.
And I have...
And a dope Sprinter van.
Yeah, and a Sprinter van. And I have my parents, and my parents are divorced, so I have 2 sets of parents, and I have
they help
my
out.
sister and my in-laws. I have so much help, and it's still, I don't understand how people have kids.
Damn.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Although now I want to have another kid, but I'm too old now, so I want to adopt one.
No more. Oh, yeah, that's cool.
I'll adopt one that I don't have to wipe its butt, like a 3-year-old.
You can do that.
I know.
He wants to adopt one and let the kid know that he does not love that kid as much as his real kid.
I don't want to. No, I just want
to.
to.
It's a good message for those kids.
I don't love you as
They
much.
don't feel neglected enough, so you got to
way
tell
better
them.
than they had it before. Listen, I'm not. You're not at a 10. You're at a 7. But
have you
had a 4 before.
You seen Instant Family?
No.
You got to see Instant Family.
What is it?
That's a movie I was in last year.
Oh, with Mark Wahlberg.
With Mark Wahlberg. It's all about adoption, and it's based on like the writer-director Sean Anders. He and his wife actually did this, where they were like looking to adopt a kid, and then they found out, the adoption agencies are like, there's a lot of adoptions where you adopt siblings because they're there's that
Right.
need,
Want
right?
to keep them together.
Yeah,
sure.
and he was like, "That's crazy." And then they ended up adopting 3 siblings,
Oh.
and they really did this, you know.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah, they have. You know, they've had him now. I don't know, like 8-9 years or
My
something.
wife laid it out pretty good to me. She was like, "What do you want to adopt?" And I go, "I don't know, a little boy. My son's 12 now. He'll have somebody to look up to." And I go, "So maybe like a 3 or 4-year-old boy." And she goes, "Okay." She goes, "Now, based on my experiences, most of these kids are affected somehow, drug affected or have emotional problems." I go, "Okay." I go, "You're a therapist and I'm a patient guy. We can deal with that." And she goes, "I'm not worried about that." She goes, "You come home one day and then adopt a kid tries to hurt Juliana." I go, "Well, then I kill the kid." She goes, "Exactly my point." I go, "Okay,
My favorite part
I'll
of that
wait."
whole thing is you said you're a patient guy.
With the kids, I'm very patient.
This is my audition.
Oh, that?
Yeah, I volunteered to do this. See, that was on the podcast where that's the director, that's Sean.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Can you bring the audition footage?" And he was like, "You really want me to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I thought it'd be funny." And then as soon as it came up, you could see how hard I'm cringing. I'm like, "Please take it down." It's so hard to watch
I love
yourself.
this stuff. I love to be embarrassed. I love when these guys make fun of me. I
mean, I signed up for it
Right.
with this, obviously,
Right,
but
right.
yeah, I mean, if it's,
Are you a good actor?
I think I'm all right. You
Yeah.
know? I have a.
I'm god awful, but I'll keep doing auditions until something clicks.
Yeah, I mean, like I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the fact that I actually enjoy it probably gives me something.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure I'm not gonna win any awards, but,
Well, you never know.
but it's I like doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think comedians make the best serious actors.
Some of them, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I mean, I would forget. Like, you ever forget that Robin Williams is
Totally.
on, right? And
Totally.
then-
I never liked Robin Williams as a comedian.
Same.
But
But
him as an actor.
Yeah.
I'm the same.
Yeah. I mean, I love I love Good Morning
I
Vietnam.
used to,
love
I used
all
to
of it.
not I swear to you, not understand when he was killing. I was like,
Oh.
what's going on?
Oh, hey.
And he would like really kill. It wasn't like some people were laughing.
No,
it was
yeah.
like you'd see just waves of bodies moving.
Right. And I was
I
just
think
like,
that's-
okay,
What?
well, cocaine works.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
What about Steve Martin? Stand-up.
This is hilarious. This is true because I think your age has a lot to do with what you're exposed
Right.
to. I didn't know he was a stand-up
Oh, really?
until I was like 20.
Yeah, you only see him in movies and
Because
stuff.
from I was born in '79. I think he stopped doing stand-up, early
Yeah,
80s or
80s,
something.
yeah.
So I'm in the Groundlings school, which is like the
Right,
improv
yeah.
thing in like early 2000s in LA, and we're going around the room talking about like influences, and then somebody says and then Steve Martin's stand up, and I was like, stand up. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, he doesn't do stand up. And like everybody just turned their head and they're like, what? And they're like, it's one of the greatest stand ups of all time. And I was like, Steve Martin.
And one of the biggest.
That's what they're like.
Yeah.
They're like, he did arena.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I not know this?
Who are your influences?
I think I don't know. I mean, I remember first seeing Bill Cosby himself, that
Yeah.
special. The Eddie Murphy stuff, I would lose my mind when
Yeah,
I was
we
a
all
kid,
love that, yeah.
right? And then I think when I started doing stand-up, seeing Attell was right before I started doing stand-up. It was Chris Rock,
Yep.
because that was like, again, it's like I'm in college, and he puts out end of high school he puts out Bring
Bigger
the
and
Pain,
Blacker,
and
Bring
then
the Pain, yeah.
Bigger and Black, and I was like, just out of my mind, like this is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it was so on point with all the topics of the time, and so, but then when I saw Attell, I was like, this is my identity.
my kind of speed,
and then I
yeah.
just like dressed like him and talked like him for like 3 years.
You have that cadence.
Oh yeah, totally. And I worked with him one time. He was like, "Stop doing my cadence." I was like, okay.
What about Carlin? I never thought Carlin was funny. I think he's a genius, but I don't think he's funny.
I thought he was really funny in the way that like the cleverness, the
the turn
wordplay,
of phrase. Yeah, he
the
was
turn of
really
phrase,
good at
and
that.
also like in like seeing it as a piece of writing. Where, like it started.
That's the thing. I
here.
read his book and I was like,
Yeah.
this is funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting.
but it wasn't like
Not like watching Eddie Murphy Raw.
like my favorite line from Carlin was when he was making fun of the Y2K people,
Right.
and it's like a throwaway. It's not even like one of his things, and he was because you're stuck at a party talking to some idiot who's like, oh, Y2K, whatever happened to that? Like that was his. I fell out of my chair laughing at him pretending to be that guy, but not like yeah.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I like a top 2 or 3. I always just think you could know so much about a person. Like when I was single, I'd ask girls, "What's your favorite movie?" And that would be a deal breaker.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was thinking like the other day, I was so surprised that even though I'd said whenever this is on, I'll watch it. I was like, man, I'm about to be 40 and I'm still watching it. No matter what part it's on, was Coming to America.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it's still.
So when we had Arsenio on, that was one of the reasons why I want to have him on.
Oh my god.
He said it's a done deal. They've signed contracts for the next one. He said we've
it's
had
not a done deal whether he's in it though.
Right. Eddie signed it. He goes, we've had so many scripts over the years.
Yeah.
And he goes, and Eddie finally called me one day. He goes, you have to come over and read this. And he said it, and I go, well, good. I hope it happens. Because no, it's signed. It's happening. It's happening. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's hilarious. Wait, what's your favorite movie?
I mean, Goodfellas, but I mean, we were talking about the other day about Midnight Run.
Yeah.
Midnight Run is one of the best movies ever. I don't know. Goodfellas is my go-to.
I love thrillers. Like I love French Connection.
Yeah.
The only thing that takes me out of The Fugitive, because I love that movie, is when he jumps off that train because it's right before like CGI.
Oh yeah.
But like I love those I love thrillers like that. You know.
Oh, Tom, I think we became better friends than Bert and I for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Dude, you got to drop him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna drop him, but he definitely is. Like I don't have to.
Dude, block his number for a week. Right. Just do that. So he's like, why does it keep going to voicemail?
Are you kidding me? He's so Hollywood now. It's good luck if I get him to return a text.
No, I know.
We were saying last time he was in that this may be the last time he comes in.
Well, yeah, he went on our cruise during Sober October.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a way to end it because he's not going to be happy sober.
No.
So he was miserable on our cruise.
And all the listeners.
Although I have to tell you, he was pretty fun.
Look sober there.
Yeah.
That
was a
different
couple years ago.
Can you please take my name off if you're showing him?
He was fun as you could be sober.
Yeah.
But I could tell he was secretly miserable the whole time.
Sure.
And I said he's finally reached Hollywood size where we won't get I don't even know if we'll get him on the show anymore. So keep breaking him down mentally so we can stay friends.
Yeah, no, I'll try. I'll try my best.
Yeah. This is great. All right, well, Tom Segura is going on an next cruise.
Love
Have
to.
you ever been on one?
I've never done one of those.
Really?
No.
See, ours are easy because you do one show and you're done, and the rest of it's vacation.
That's kind of nice.
Right. Like in Practical Jokers, they have like 3 different shows, and there's everywhere you get. Ours, you can get away from
I
everything.
feel like they're doing like 6 cruises a year now or something.
I bet they're making so much money.
Yeah.
I bet they're making so much money.
They're so nice too.
That's what everyone says.
It's like unnerving.
Well, because they were just 4 jamokes from New York, and then all of a sudden now they're millionaires. So why wouldn't they be nice? They got to, and they also realized eventually you can't do this show anymore because everybody knows who you are. So we better find something else to keep the boat rolling, and they did.
Yeah.
And they're even nice to like trolls on Twitter and stuff. I saw that Joe, they did something with some art thing where they had photos up, and they're like, "Oh, must be nice being a millionaire. You know, nobody would go if you weren't." And he goes, "Actually, I paid for everything." And he goes, "We just wanted people to see our stuff. I hope that you have a dream that you follow, and good luck in your life." And I'm like,
"Wow,
that's not how you treat people. You're supposed to be like, shut it, I'm rich."
Yeah,
that's my D.
No, they're really Sal. He's like the sweetest guy. Yeah, the whole crew. They're really good guys.
Well, look, I gotta tell you, I loved having you in here today. I just looked at the clock, and we've been talking for an hour and a half.
Have we really?
Yeah, no commercials. I'm sure somebody is in this building is pacing right now.
Yeah.
Sales.
Yeah, sales. Oh, there's this little mean black lady who's gonna come down there and yell at me.
We're gonna have to paint the studio yellow and red.
Oh man.
Tom Segura, if you have tickets, enjoy his show tonight and tomorrow night at the Tampa Theater. If not, check out his podcast, Your Mom's House, and his
movie.
Netflix specials and the movie with Mark Wahlberg. Now, this came and went already?
Yeah. It just hit like iTunes on demand stuff this week.
How many times did you lay in bed and you were like, now me and Mark Wahlberg are going to do a bunch of movies together?
Oh, man.
We cop movie, buddy movie nag.
I found the way in when I was on set to talk to him.
Yeah.
Because you would like you'd like kind of run jokes by people. Like, you think, I'll be like, does this work? And like people would laugh, I was like, I'm gonna go say it to Mark. And I'd walk up to Mark, I'd be like, hey man. He was like, yeah. So I was like, damn.
Cold face.
And then, totally. He blew me off one time. He didn't blow me off. He just destroyed what I was like making a joke about a guy who was like in the crowd.
Right.
And like I ran it by people, like I just to see like is it, and everyone was laughing. I tell him, he was like, "Nah, he's probably had a hard life."
no.
I was like,
Oh, you're a
Jesus.
good person.
So then I was like, oh man, this sucks. And I sat down, just like head between. I was like, and like even like my cast were like, "What's up?" I was like, "Yeah, Mark didn't like that joke," and like, I was just crushed. But then I have like third day, I'm doing a scene with him. It's just me and him, and free agency had just started for football, and I knew he's a sports guy, but I was like, whatever, dude. I bring up some free agency move that way. You see who got cut or got picked up. He just was like, yeah, man. And then it was like we were general managers.
Right.
And I would like kind of know what he was talking about, but I was like, yeah, like, you have a big year. I had no idea he was talking about.
I always worry that somebody like that is making up sort of. What about Fred Nelson? Like, oh yeah, Fred Nelson. Yeah,
Freddie.
there is no Fred
Yeah,
Nelson.
yeah. Well, I would, we would sometimes shoot and we'd have weekends off, and like he would go to the Bahamas on his private jet and post something, and then we'd be back on Monday in Atlanta shooting this movie, and I would like walk up to him. I hadn't seen him in, let's say, a few days, and I was like, yo, that man, the Bahamas, that looked nice. And he was like, dude, did you see that Jamarcus, whatever, like, he was
right to sports.
ignore completely what I had said. And if I asked him anything, I was like, yeah, man, this car, anything about like, things or business, anything like that, he was just like, I don't know what you're talking about, but Brady's going to sign another deal and he's going to be back for another couple of years. And I was like, okay.
He only speaks sports.
Yeah, that was,
man.
and that makes sense too, because you're like, that's kind of the great equalizer.
Right.
And if like you're super famous and you don't know what people, but like you keep it sports, then all of a sudden someone feels relaxed, it's like.
If I said something to Mark Wahlberg and he went, I don't know anything about that, I would never open my mouth again.
I know. But now if you ever see him, you just got to be like, Patriots, man. And he's going to be like, yes.
We hung out with Vince Vaughn one time.
Yeah.
And I was like, Vince Vaughn is so great in so many movies that all I need is a picture with him. I don't care if he hates me. But I will try my best to make this work out good. And we had interviewed him on the air one time before. And I don't know how I got into it, but we started talking. He put a little effort into talking to us, and then it came up about something about guns. Oh man, we were like this now, and he was like, "You got guns? I got guns. I got."
Oh, he loves guns.
Yeah, and then he's like, "I got my concealed carry." I go, "Me too." And then he pulled one out. I pulled mine out. And he's like, "I got it in like 4 different states." And he's pulling other ones out. He's like, "I got one in Vegas. I got one in Chicago." And I was like, "Oh man, this is good." And he's like, and then I was about to have a daughter, and he had daughters. When you have daughters, I go, when you have daughters, you need guns. You got guns. That's why I got guns. And we were back and forth. And then later on, we interviewed him, and we told him, I said, I was worried about it. And then we started talking about guns, and he goes, then before you know it, you were like, I can't shake Vaughn. I can't get him off me. I go, exactly. I couldn't get out of the conversation at that point. But once you connect on something,
this is going too good. We have to end it.
Yeah, I was like, let's just leave it at that. Let's take a picture and walk away so we can go away. I was like, that guy's pretty cool. He talks about guns.
Yeah. You found your in, man.
Yeah. And I didn't have to fake like I knew sports and Fred Nelson.
Wahlberg, sports, Vaughn, guns.
Dude, imagine if you like are sitting there with like Michael Jordan or something. Like you'd be like, hey, you're so good, and then like you don't know, you bring up, what are you gonna bring up? His shoes or something?
I've been in that situation with Deion Sanders before.
Yes.
And I was in a limo with Deion alone, and I'm like, what do I talk about? And I don't know anything about sports. This was right after the Dallas Cowboys had won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I think we started talking about Disney World because he was going there with his kids. Deion was so sweet, and he opened up, and we're talking about Disney World, and I'm like, and then he taught me 2 sexual terms, old fashioned and neck up. He's like, get me some neck up. I'm like, neck up. I'm like, I don't want to ask. Then finally, I'm like, what's neck up? And he goes, what's above your neck? And I went, oh.
Yeah.
I was young.
Yeah.
I was like, I get it now.
I feel like now he would not say that.
No.
Now, I would, if I was hanging out with Deion now, I would pretend to be religious because I know he is.
Yeah.
Just to see like where it goes, I'd be like, man, you got to put it all in God. And he'd be like, you know what I mean? Truth, dog. Like.
He's full of crap. He's full of crap. I am buying that religious thing at all.
Yeah.
I said to him,
he's hosing all of us.
I said, one day I'm going to get married and have kids, and I'm going to tell my kids, neck up. Deion taught me that.
Neck up. Yeah.
Neck up. That's the one thing. Not yet, because my son's only 12.
Old fashioned? Was that the first one?
Yeah, old fashioned. He goes, I got to get me some neck up, at least old fashioned. And I was like, I don't know what any of those things mean.
Man, I bet he got a bunch of neck up back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
We rolled up in the strip joint. and he was trying to get some girls to get out there and get some neck up, and then one girl just gave him an old fashioned. He said,
"Really?
Yeah,
good for him."
I know, right?
Yeah,
I was like, I'm not mad.
What
at
a
that.
beautiful story.
Yeah. I don't like him anymore, so I don't.
Really?
Yeah, he's kind of a douche. So I don't really care. Like most of the time, I have a lot of great stories that I'll keep in forever.
Yeah.
But those kind of things I don't care about.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun.
Yeah, man. I had a great time. Thank you for
good.
having me.
Thank you. You have to walk back now. You can't take.
Okay.
Now that it went well, you're okay. Yeah, dude. Bert, we've never sent a car for Bert.
You shouldn't.
Yep, you're right. Thank you. Thank you.